already, no sleeping on the kids. I got responsibilities, so I got the keys. I'll tell you what I mean, I ain't no Billie Jean. A masterpiece and work in progress simultaneously. I am a reflection of you, the human category. I am the struggle, I am the glory. I am the love and the light. I am the story of pain, heartache, shame, resilience and endurance. Lifeline insurance. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. We were taught to hate ourselves. That's mental slavery. Break free from those shackles. Fallen soldiers will see another slave trade. If we accept our stories, he'll find glory. Come together in the dark rain. Powers that be want us to fall in line, retreat, become like a timepiece. They talking Babylon speech. Every first of the month they handing out necrosis. Challenge that beat. How do you obtain mental stability? You plan accordingly. Adapt a routine that balances your wants and needs. Be intentional, meditate, hustle, create, become invincible.
Peace and greetings, family. You're listening to WHCR 90.3 FM. This is PJ's show, and I'm your host, Pojanee PJ Fleury. You are just listening to Bija Someday, and I hope I said that right. The artist herself is here in the building, Sister Affinity, who will definitely correct me if I totally botched that. But Affinity is a beautiful singer, songwriter, a amazing, talented musical artist, and she is also doing great work in the community. She has a business, Cosmic Affinity, and she is going to tell us all about her unique platform, Holistic Abolition. Welcome to the show, Sister Affinity.
Thank you so much, PJ. Oh my gosh, yes, I'm so excited to be here. It's definitely been a pleasure, just moving into this space and getting this together and, connecting with you over this time. So, yes, I'm very grateful and gratitude. By the way, you did say it right. It is Bija Someday. I'm sure you could say it other ways, but there's always a different way to say something, right? Tomato, tomato. But just a little bit about that song. Bija is a Sanskrit word for seed mantra, and Dum is the bija or the seed mantra for the goddess of creation. And day, as we know it, is a measurement of time. So this whole idea, this concept, is more of like a honoring of creation and honoring of what it is that we all come from, which is the act of creation coming into fruition. And that was the first gift that I shared with the world by way of music, and I was really excited to put that out and have that, just float around in the ethers until we get a little bit more traction on it. So thank you for sharing that with the community.
Absolutely. Beautiful track. And tell us about how you became an artist. Like, how did you grow into your artistry? You're very talented. You seem like you've honed this craft for a while. When I watch you perform, you're very much in command and in control. How did you harness that?
That's a great question. And thank you. I would say that the music really started at a young age. I've always been invested in music, probably since about 3. I literally, my earliest memory is people asking me to sing my ABCs, and I'm like, it's just ABCs, but I don't know why y'all want me to sing it so much. But eventually I realized that it had something to do with the way that I presented it and, I guess the tonality of it and things like that. And I had an interesting upbringing, but I got the opportunity to live with an extended family who lived in New Jersey. And, I called her my grandma. and she actually was one of the original artists in the Shirelles. And I didn't realize what that was. You know, as a kid, you're like, okay, like who cares about any of this stuff that you're talking about? But when you got to see like what some of the glitz and glam of the pictures and stuff like that, I was like, oh wow, like this was really like a completely different lifestyle from what I know life to be. Especially coming up the way that I did. You know, I grew up in Harlem, lived in every single borough before the age of 9 due to, you know, displacement and crazy housing and things like that. So being able to see that, I kind of like was like, okay, well, I have this gift and I see that it, you know, it seems to come with something else that I'm not used to. So maybe I should pursue that. And, you know, I did kind of like piano a little bit as a kid. I'm not very good at piano, but I could do a little bit of heart and soul. And then eventually I was like, you know what, I want to take this seriously. So I went to HSA. The guardian that I was with at the time, they, you know, got me into the Harlem School of the Arts program. And then I also auditioned to go to Special Music School High School, which is it's a German, I believe, a German institute called Kaufman, and they have an elementary and a middle school, but they started a high school in 2013, I want to say. So when I got to the school, I was in the second graduating class, but there was only like 2 grades. I think it was 9th and 10th when I first got there, and it was a very, you know, pretty prestigious in my book program. They had private vocal lessons depending on what major you focused on, and I mean private lessons depending on what major you focused on. Mine was vocal, and you know, you got to be exposed to that artistry, to that world of vibrations. You got to be exposed to string instruments and horns and choirs, like kind of all the time. In high school, I got to be exposed to that in high school, and that was really where I was like, well, you know, I've always had this gift, but now it's time to really do something with it. And then I started really honing in on my writing abilities and my writing skills, because I'd always been writing poetry, but it wasn't a focus until I got to high school, and I'm like, no, I can really turn this into something. And of course, you know, turning pain into passion or power is kind of our natural ability to use alchemy, even when we don't know what it is that we're doing. So that was a big part of it too, being able to heal myself and like work through my own trauma in a way that I felt like I wasn't affecting people, and music was the easiest way to do that. So it just led to where we are now, kind of naturally.
That is so wonderful. So now you have this gift, you've had the training, and now you're turning that into, one, a blessing for the community, but also a business. So tell us a little bit about Cosmic Affinity and what you're doing with the umbrella platform of Holistic Abolition.
Holistic abolition was kind of sent to me, you know, almost like God was like, here, take that. Cause I haven't heard that word necessarily used or that phrase used, but it resonated, because Cosmic Affinity came from a want to bridge the gaps between health, creation, and knowledge of self, or you could say imagination. I do want to put that in there, but that won't be like, you know, the coin that I use, because I know people can kind of run away with that one. But where it started was really being able to pinpoint areas in the community where you see that there's a bit of like, you know, misconnection. Like there's people aren't supporting one another. You see that people aren't feeling as good as they could. You see that you know, they're kind of projecting these low, I would kind of low vibrational energies towards their people, even though you know that's not necessarily what it is that they want to do, but it seems like that's the only way that they know how to express themselves. And I've been working in customer service since I was 14. I'm not the math is not mathing. But I've been doing customer service, and I've met a lot of people over the years that I've just been like moving around and working and trying to provide for myself in different ways. And I noticed that there is a lack of compassion, and there's a lack of knowledge, like there's a lack of intellect, because people, will be angry and stuff like that and not even really know why. And I kind of, taking all of those things into consideration, I was like, well, how can I provide, some type of solution in that way? So boggling my brain, I was like, well, I know that music has a really big impact on people. I also know that health has a really big impact on people. In fact, the last 4 years, I've been working in a holistic pharmacy with a pharmacist and pharmacognosist of over 30 years, and her mission is to turn all pharmaceuticals to natural alternatives through Natural Essentials and Wellness, which is the business name. And that has shown me a lot how herbs and, farming and things like that really help you get connected and grounded to the world, which also can kind of by way lessen that anger or that frustration within yourself. And I know people that own farm stands and farmers markets and, have connection with the farmers upstate, and it's farm to plate. It's not going outside of the sources. So I see how those small differences have really affected people in a positive way. And I was like, okay, well, music is one, health is one. And I'm like, okay, so where's the other one? And seeing that knowledge of self or information was the next area where we're kind of being overwhelmed, but we don't really know how to use it. So, as I started to get more into spirituality, that got me understanding myself a little bit more. And the more that I began to understand myself, the more that I attracted people who were also doing that work and were also delving deep into the history of, well, not even the history, but our story, which, thank you, Commander. He gave me that little gem the other day. It's not necessarily his story, because we take out a key component when we're just talking about his story. We're taking about the womb, the start of everything, and that's why I really appreciate the idea of going back to our story, because the natural people that were, on this planet Earth have had a certain way of living, and we've gotten away from that energy for quite some time due to an energy of abusive power or an energy of oppression. And I feel like, yes, we've been working towards moving out of that. However, we in the process, we may have gotten a little bit away from our nature. And I think that having that knowledge of self is a big aspect of getting back to our nature. So when I thought about the foundation of cosmic affinity, I was like, okay, well, what can we sum this up with? And holistic abolition was what came to mind, because abolition being, getting rid of laws that, oppress people and that hold power over people who should be able to live their lives freely, especially when they have no intention of hurting anyone and all they want to do is exist in a way that feels good. That's a large aspect of it. And I think that we are getting to a place where we can better understand that some of these things we've been told are laws aren't necessarily for us to follow blindly. It's more so for us to understand so that we can use it to our advantage. And I think that that's the next stage of this holistic abolition of this idea. I think that that's the aspect of it, is really getting to a place where the masses understand the difference between legalese and English, and the masses understand the difference between lawfulness and legal, so that we can, take a stand and start to own this kingdom that is our temple, that is our body, and not necessarily just be a product of the environment that we've been brought up in. So I guess that kind of sums up holistic abolition.
That's really powerful, sis. That is such a force because it's not only, and it would be, right, it's holistic. It's not only on the surface level, that's going deeper as a community. So I thank you for that. That's really, really amazing. I want to talk about one of the first things that you mentioned about people and how we're treating each other, and especially when we're interacting with our own, right? Mm-hmm. People that will have our back, and in certain situations, right? We look at what happened in Montgomery last year, right? These are our people, and I'm not a native of New York, but I've lived in many boroughs of the city and everything, and I've interacted in different communities in the city. And when I first started living, I was in Queens, so now I'm taking the subway every day, and I had to learn very quickly, okay? Because I was going to end up with tracks, like, no lie, okay? I had to learn very quickly to walk fast, don't look at anybody too long, get in where you can fit in. Like, it is a totally different mentality, way of living. People talk about the Southern hospitality. This is nowhere near hospitable, okay? New York, as many people know, has that reputation all over the world. It's a rough place, right? And
it's gritty.
And it makes you like that. People talk about how the mental health crisis, right? And I always think about it, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it New York makes you crazy? Is it that New York makes you crazy? Or is a lot of crazy people are attracted to New York? Like, what is it that makes this place have this energy about it? And it's so hard to try to stay that real positive, centered, happy, go lucky person when you're living in an environment like that. So I'm bringing my happy go luckiness to the train stations, to the bodegas, and people are looking at me like, why are you smiling? Like, why are you happy? Is there something wrong? And I feel, it was a culture shock almost, right? And so, and so you're in the rock, you're trying to stay sane. You're in between this rock and a hard place. You want to stay sane, but at the same time, you don't want to end up a victim, right? So it's really hard in these type of situations to stay balanced. And so programming like you're offering, like what I attended, is so important to have these spaces to remind people you don't have to be crazy right now. You don't have to be right now this second, okay? You can let this go. Or get better, seek help. There's a lot of resources in New York City, right? More than a lot of places in this country, right? So we want to direct people. We want to encourage people, give the healing. And that's what I witnessed and was able to experience at the event where I initially met you. It was a holistic concert at a local community center here in Harlem. It was so powerful. It was so healing for me because it was just hitting you on so many levels. There was amazing vendors. There were amazing speakers and presenters. The music was top quality, just some just like very entertaining. But your set was very healing as well. We had that vibrational healing, sound vibrations, and we had people in the corner. They were doing the prayer bowls, and there was free food, and it was a loving environment, a community center. You could feel the vibe. You can tell that was the type of place where people come to get resources and to get lifted up. Like, you can feel the energy of the space. And I felt so uplifted leaving. I actually didn't want to, I had to leave early. I wanted to stay. And that is so beautiful to have these things right here in our own community. So please talk about the holistic concert. There were so many great people. I don't know if you want to shout anybody out, but it was just such a magical experience.
Okay. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it, and I got a little bit of feedback from that event, but it happened so fast. Like, it took longer to plan than it all actually happening. So I'm grateful that I got to, receive that, those kind words and that energy basically from you. That was a holistic wellness concert that I was able to, put together with this Women's History in Arts Month at Goddard Riverside Community Center. Manon actually she's the host of their summer arts program, or I think it's program director to be exact, excuse me. She asked me to be a part of that group of women. It was 9 women who were going to present a different type of artistry at the community center, and I felt it was necessary and important to provide some type of holistic and wellness kind of, contribution to the event, to the group of events. And essentially, I brought Powerful Pioneers together, which is a wonderful group that also brings people together in different holistic organizations. They have a myriad of community members that are all over the world, and they contribute amazingly to their communities, but also other communities, and support other holistic leaders in the communities. I also had Dr. Marcia Codling there. She was facilitating the salt therapy that we had available, and that was amazing because I started learning about salt therapy over the past couple of years, and I didn't realize how beneficial it could be to just like have access to a little booth that, sprays you with salt, or going to the ocean. Like you learn different things about how nature is there for you and not against you, and that was a beautiful aspect of that. And she has a salt therapy room at Natural Essentials and Wellness, which is right on 118th in Harlem. If, anybody wants to try it out, they definitely can. It's an amazing experience. We also had sound healing with Ashley. Her shop is called Spiritual Detox Shop. She's a traveling sound healer. She does sound healing literally all over the world. And she does a lot in New Jersey and New York. So, you can reach out at any point to find a class of hers. She's providing wonderful, wonderful energy to the community throughout this time. And, I think sound healing is going to become a lot more popular in its different facets over the next few years. So that's something that, we could get more in tune with. And if you do find someone that you want to support that facilitates those type of classes, definitely do not hesitate to do it, because it is an amazing experience, whether it's like a traditional sound healing or something a little bit more alternative, like what I typically do with like my music and poetry. We also had some soul food, and I'm talking about food for the soul. It was some vegan goodies created by Vaughn's Vegan, which is a local, a local meal prep business. And he does, all different types of vegan alternatives for people who are just transitioning and are just like, not really open to the vegan thing, but it's like, dang, like, I do kind of want to start to eat healthy a little bit more. So that's a good transition. Of course, I'm a little bit controversial in the not everybody needs the same thing. So, I think if you do start vegan, people are thinking, oh, I have to go vegan for the rest of my life. Like, it's not necessarily that. I like to say everything in moderation, even moderation, but he is a wonderful place to start if you're not used to it. And that his business is called Bonds Vegan. We also had a few other, amazing organizations in the community there. I want to, what is it called? It's called the Emergency Safety Network, if I'm not mistaken. And, I really wanted them to be there because I feel like having a plan is very important. We need to learn how to have survival skills. Those are things that are necessary even if we have all the conveniences in the world living in the city. So I invited them, and then I had some other wonderful, amazing artists there too that have music out. Like, I have so many different connections, and I want to continue to bring people together so that we can see, who resonates, and then also give the community opportunities to expose them to things that they may not have been familiar with. And that was really what I wanted to do, with bringing that health and wellness concert together and presenting that to the community.
Oh, yes, it was truly an amazing experience. And I'm also a powerful pioneer, and that's how I was invited and I could participate. I also spoke for a brief moment, and I believe vendors spoke, and there were just powerhouses, some people that are doing amazing, great community work and business. There were a lot of businesses represented. Talk about the way you present your music and your craft is very unique. The set that you did, it was you were dancing, you were singing, you were doing your poetry, you were rapping. How is there a way that you work? How do you process your set?
The set really ends up being based on how I feel at the time. Typically, like if it's like more of a calming kind of environment, then I will keep it to the like slower, more like sound healing kind of meditative pieces that I have. And if it's an environment where I feel like people they might have been sitting all day, or they kind of want that energy to get up and dance or whatever, I'll try and incorporate some of those more upbeat kind of pieces that I have that include like the step and the dancing and a little bit more of that. In fact, I don't have enough dancing. I'm gonna keep it in my sets, but I definitely have room for the variety. It's all of, I think a big part about being an entertainer and being an artist and being able to read the room and be able to know what people, maybe resonate, what will people resonate with more in that moment. So, sometimes you have an idea and it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go off the fly and I'm gonna do something a little bit different. So it really depends on how I feel, but typically when I'm putting together like a concert or something like that, like I really try and put a lot of effort into how it's going to be presented and what it is that what I want the message to be. Those are the two main things in my mind, because at the end of the day, when you have any type of platform, what you say is very important. And, what your people leave feeling is also very important. So I knew that I always want to implement upliftment and encouragement and self-love and also motivation to have to do more for yourself. Because if not you, then who? That's kind of been my mindset and has, gotten me pretty far. So I definitely always want to share that energy with others.
And so we're going to get into another one of your tracks. We're going to take a break for a musical selection. This is WHCR 90.3 FM. Please, Sister Affinity, introduce this track, La La Land. Tell us a little bit about it.
Ashe, thank you. This is the most recent track that I have had out. It is on Even platform, which is a platform that directly connects the artist with the fans. And, you can get exclusive content, anything from merch to to a literal vinyl, that you can get as a addition to the package when you purchase. It's similar to Bandcamp, but it has a little bit more perks, I feel. So this is the platform that it's on before it reaches all streaming platforms. And, La La Land is like my love song to the universe. It's a 5-year-old song, one of the first ones that I wrote, and it means a lot. It was just time for it to come out. So shout out to Philip Bucket for making this track for me.
Yes, this is Affinity, La La Land, 90.3 FM, WHCR. Welcome back, family. Yes, you are listening to WHCR 90.3 FM. This is PJ Show, and this is your host, Pojanee PJ Fleury. Thank you so much for tuning back in with us. We have Affinity of Cosmic Affinity here with us. You just heard her track, La La Land. Again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this amazing information, this holistic information that we all so need. And I want to bring that conversation about health. Health, as we know, looks different to different people. It's not a one-size-fits-all, as you mentioned before the musical selection break. What are you doing specifically to make sure that information is getting to the people in terms of how important it is to incorporate holistic modalities?
Recently, I have been, doing my best to share the ideas that I have been learning at work, and working with Dr. Marcia, being able to help them understand that, there are simpler ways of kind of overcoming things that, we've been used to, like the stomach aches and the headaches and stuff like that. And also, which this one's a little bit controversial, that everything is reversible. I think that's a big one that, you share with people and it kind of sits in their mind a little bit and it helps them wonder. But that wonder is important. That childlike wonder is important because that helps us to grow and evolve and elevate. So I think, recently it's just been planting seeds that are going to grow into a curiosity for the person themselves. But more, like concretely, I have a program called Fresh Start, that works with different farmers markets and works with different holistic shops in the city and, really brings not only, business their way, but also brings opportunities for other people to come to their space and provide education, provide workshops on raw vegan recipes, or to provide a little bit more information on how you can incorporate intermittent fasting into your day in order to help with your body's cycle, with your body's function, because we're all living on different types of cycles and we all have a certain rhythm that we're going by. Bringing people to teach about circadian rhythm and to teach about biological rhythm. These different aspects of understanding your body and your temple, I think, are very important to understanding your health. Also, having, workshops where Dr. Marcia will teach people how to read their blood work, because when we go to the doctor, they tell us nothing. They literally look at it, they're like, oh, yeah, you're fine. And then months later, they're like, oh, but we got to put you on this medicine because this was low now, but now it's high. And it's like, well, why didn't you bring that up before? We have a lot of situations where the medical providers are not being transparent. So I think that also allowing people to understand that there are alternatives to, just getting stepped all over in a place where you're supposed to be provided for, essentially. I think the thin line between that is that we've gotten to a place where we're so dependent on a lot of conveniences that we've had that we don't even question when those conveniences aren't to our benefit. So I think that exposure to different people that have the knowledge, as well as bringing those people together on panels or bigger workshops and eventually, having whole health and wellness, events in the city on a larger scale. Cause the first one that you went to, I think we brought in about 50 people. That was the first event that I ever put together. So, it's more so about scaling that and bringing the people together. Actually, I'd like to acknowledge that I am working on something called the STAR map, which kind of brings this idea as well as the other ideas all together by highlighting people who are already doing the work, who already have had their boots on the ground for years now and don't get the acknowledgement or don't get the support that they feel like they deserve because people don't know about them because of marketing. And also that mainstream kind of glorifies nonsense, but that'll change.
Yes, we hope so. And you're doing the work to make sure that happens. That's the same space that I'm in as well. I started way back in '07 promoting positive art, positive artists, and just positive lifestyles. It was really important for me to make sure there was that balance, right, to hold that space, because like you said, there's so much on the negative side, it kind of overwhelms you. It's like, whoa, you have to really get and get that positive entertainment and that positive reinforcement for a holistic lifestyle. People think like, oh, I ate healthy, so I'm healthy. I don't have to worry about anything. No, you have to worry about also your mental health, right? Mm-hmm. Your emotional health, your vibrational health, right? Because we're getting into the sound, we're getting into different aspects of our being, and we really want to encourage people to be looking at that. And sometimes even that might be a little overwhelming. When I went through my spiritual journey and my health journey, and I realized how many different things, right, that I have to pay attention to. I got to drink my water. I got to get some tea. I have to get the coconut water in there too, because that's really high, has the potassium. And then I got to make sure that I get the bitters, and it's like, I don't want to do that but I'm just gonna have some juice. And so I have been there, and often find myself there sometimes, even now, and that's because it is a journey, and we go through just different phases in life, and I know, right? So I understand other people that's like, oh, maybe I just want to go to the doctor and have the doctor tell me what to do, because I really don't have the time or the headspace to put all of this together. And I was there, and when I realized, like you said, what I realized when I got some information, my sister, bless her, she invited me to the center that did meditations. They were doing Reiki classes and things like that. And one of the instructors there said, you can heal yourself. And there's things here naturally that can heal you. And like, what? This is the first time I'm ever hearing this type of information. But I believed it. And that was so powerful for me because it sent me on this journey to understand that a lot of health and addressing your health and building a holistic lifestyle is your choices. Mm-hmm. You can choose to take, let's just say, antibiotics, right? Or you can choose to take aloe, which is nature's strongest. It's not only an antibiotic, it's not only antibacterial, it's antiviral, it's like every pathogen. It just kills it on the spot, period. So the knowledge of that, when I really got to understand how many herbs and plants and natural elements heal you, that just blew my mind. It opened up a whole world. I understood that information could be deepened and utilized for not only myself, but for the best of humanity, right? Once you get that information, we're like, oh, let's let everyone know that that this is possible. Free yourself, and not to say don't go to the doctor. Definitely, if you are in treatment, if you are going to the doctor, that's actually a good thing. You're actually taking that first step to your healing journey. In addition to that, there is a lot of information that's been scientifically proven as well that you will understand there are so many things in nature that they're actually mimicking with the synthetic. They're making an antibacterial. How do you think that they got the idea to kill bacteria? Right? Because there's natural things that kill it. And they said, okay, well, let's commercialize this. Right? We need it by the tons. And we have just been conditioned, and most times, if you weren't lucky enough to be brought up in a holistic household or something, you've been conditioned, go to the doctor. The doctor is a professional. They know what they're doing. You can trust them and things like that. And I've had certain things happen with doctors, and being that I was educated in different spaces, I took phlebotomy classes. So they taught us the different vials and what they're looking for. This is the specific vial if they're going to test the count of blood cells in your body. It's called the CBD, right? They're actually counting, right? So then it's like, oh, there's a count now, and this count does this. This is what they're going to look for. They explain all of this information, the different vials, the different things they'll look for with that vial. This vial right here, they're only going to test it to see about your kidneys, right? So once we understand these things, and it's not difficult, it just takes some effort to do the research, understand our bodies, once we understand, like, what do the kidneys do? Oh, well, if that's the case, then I need more water because I know my kidneys need support, right? This understanding is so powerful. And I can't say it enough. That's like one of my things. And that's why I'm going off right now, because we have to know the body. We have to. We have to know that there are white blood cells when you are cut or anything. They are rushing there. So you want to make sure that you are boosting your body's ability to make more white blood cells. That's your second line of defense, because first is the skin, your largest organ. And so once you understand that, you're moving a lot different. And it doesn't have to be a big, huge pill, metaphorically speaking, that you have to swallow. It could be very gradual, very basic, and you work from there. And this is the information age. You can do the research yourself, or attend events like what Sister Affinity is doing. And so how do people follow you, find out about events, and support you as well?
Well, thank you for saying that, because you definitely were spitting right. I'm like, yes, this is the tea. They need this. So yes. But I have a Instagram that's mainly where I post information. Definitely working on increasing that. But it's Cosmic Affinity on Instagram, straight like that, as well as Twitter. I don't really use that, but again, I'm working on my marketing. So Cosmic Affinity everywhere. Facebook is Affinity Nelson. That's the only place that it's different. Other than that, and yeah, I have the Bija song on YouTube. So definitely reach out on Instagram or at my email, which is the Cosmic Affinity at Gmail. Yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me at.
Cool. So one more question before I let you go. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh, that's a good one. Funny enough, in the past, I haven't been much of a future vision person. However, in the last few years, I've had to keep that kind of question in mind. So, I guess 5 years. In 5 years, I'll be 28. And I feel like that would be, I would be top of I think my game as it pertains to having, community centers either established where I have, active programs in those community centers, or a community center itself that's already been purchased and, in the name of Cosmic Affinity, which at that point will be a 508c1a, rather than an LLC. And that will establish, it more so as a place where, the higher powers won't necessarily be able to stick their grubby little fingers in, and everything will be for the community, by the community. So I definitely see that. I also see, some worldwide, music in that space. Definitely a lot of collaborations by that time. And, I would say really in that space of leadership where I am in balance, where I am fully embodying my art, and I really understand how to connect with my people and also how to connect with myself on a higher level, because the goal is elevation, regardless of what it is that we're doing. Yeah, and at that point, I'll have an established creative outlet trauma healing program going on, which is what I'm planning on really sharing with the community this year. And that includes a little bit of everything we talked about. It includes the health and wellness. It includes the creation. It includes the knowledge of self. And it really includes word magic, which I think is very important to highlight because we live in a world where we use words all the time, and half the time people don't even know what it is that they're saying. So, I see a lot of progress. I see a lot of love. I see a lot of community, and I see a lot of support in the next 5 years.
Oh, beautiful. I'm so happy I asked you that question. Well, we are going to be looking forward to that. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to listen to another one of your tracks on the closing here. This track is Anything She Wants. Tell us a little about this track.
Okay, this is a track that is coming out, I would say, within the next few months. It's on my EP, Hip Hop Renaissance. As PJ, so wonderfully introduced earlier, I do rap, I sing, I write. So this is a little bit of me bringing my rap and singing creative skills together to really present a push in a different direction as it pertains to what people think hip hop is. Because I think they got the game a little messed up right now. And, it's no offense to anybody who says that they do that and, may or may not really support what the original intention behind hip hop is. So, I'm not taking nothing away from you. If you feel like that is what you do, but you don't support it, don't be mad when something else comes out and it's completely in the opposite direction, but is actually considered what we would call, hip hop. So this is Anything She Wants. It's a little country hip hop vibe. This next EP is going to be a lot of mashup, a lot of collaboration too. So I'm excited to hear what people think about, the modern, but the bringing the old school back. You feel me?
Yeah, I feel you, and I love country, so this is wonderful. This is Anything She Wants by Affinity. Again, search for her on platforms, social media. Support her, support this young woman doing amazing work, strong work in the community and on the art scene. This is WHCR 90.3 FM, PJ Show with your host, Pojanee, PJ Fleury. Come back next week, same time, same place. Peace.
It's rare you find them realer than me. I'm the type, after 2 years you need me, I'm on the scene, making space in my life for a nigga that don't love me. Must be kidding yourself, I'm wombing these niggas in my seed. So let's run it back, break it down if you don't understand me. I said my love is unconditional, so any space that I'm making would be conditional. Boundaries and guidelines rather traditional. Besides, I'm just getting to the back, collect residuals. Energy leeches can't touch spirit, I'm invincible. You think I'm pouring, it's overflowing out my cup somehow. Yeah, every time that you see me, I'm glowing with a smile. Cause I get energy from helping other people out. You think you broke me, you made it easy to come out my shell. Honestly, I never thought I had it figured out. Counting my blessings, I stay true to my authentic self. I'm always me, I never wanna be nobody else. And that's why I embody divine feminine spirit. My frequency is so high, only real ones can hear it. And everywhere that I go, when I enter you feel it. Question my stature, just know my body is built different. That's keeping them in their tower, hiding from self. If you find a mirror, you facing a coward. Can't exhaust the source, overflowing with Mother Nature's talent. Gather around beautiful women, our goals all the same. We wanna be protected, respected, and feminine, but that can't happen when time and then time again we become the target. And target practice commence from can we just end up letting them do it? That behavior that manifests itself into our mood and then into our movement. Reactions worth more than all the arrows that are protruding. That